Hello my friends, first of all let's go to the Bakhmut city. We have minor changes, but those are very important. For example, if we speak about the railway station, this is the railway line, and the railway station was taken by Ukrainians once again. It is the second time that Russian forces lose the control of this particular area. So it was the day before and it is today. Russia in general advances in Bakhmut, but very slowly. And it seems like the information about the destroyed bridge across the railway roads was confirmed, so Wagner forces are stuck in this area without supplies. It doesn't matter that they cannot fight, but they cannot send the tanks and heavy armored vehicles. That is why I do expect them to advance to Hromova in a nearby time. Ukraine built the defense lines near to Hromova, but still Russia got some superiority in artillery and in armored vehicles. Because the Russian Defense Ministry deployed their troops in that area as well, it says that they need to take Bakhmut, whether it will be Wagner involved or not. They have the conflict between the ministry and Wagner, but still the aim is so dramatic for them that they push all of the forces. On the other parts of the city there was no major advancement of the Russian forces, as well as no further advancement of the Ukrainian forces. For now we are in defense. As for Avdiivka, no further advancements of the Russian forces into the city or even in the area around Avdiivka. However, they start to advance across this highway over here. So it was yesterday and it is today. They've took one more field on the northern part of this area. And before we go to the latest news and events, let me introduce you the partner and the sponsor of my channel, the Atlas VPN. Last month they came out with a big deal for my subscribers and viewers where you can get the Atlas VPN Premium with a great discount. So if you sign up for this offer, you'll get it for just $183 per month. The deal is time limited, so hurry up to join the club. Atlas VPN helped me to get access to Downfall movie available on Netflix. It is about the Boeing 737 MAX crashes. Because the air crash investigation is the sensitive topic, it was restricted in some countries. But with Atlas VPN I can virtually change my location to any kind of country. So basically you have unlimited access to streaming services as Netflix, plus it might help you to avoid the price discrimination on internet if you want to buy something like airline ticket or you want to book apartments on Booking. My friends, if you want to get secured, reliable and fast VPN, please visit the link below under this video where you can have it just for $183 per month if you sign up for the 3 years deal, and you'll have 3 months for free. Together it is 83% of discount. Awesome. They sent me this option for a limited time, so hurry up to join the club. New video of Prigozhin and with his old map. No changes on that map, I already spotted. And he says that they want to advance towards the Dnieper River after they penetrate the Ukrainian defense lines. At least it's their main goal. And yeah, someone photoshopped Macron's face. Yes, I've took it from the Russian resource. Prigozhin says that if I would be, or if someone would be a bird, it might fly away to the Paris and shit on the Eiffel Tower. I don't know why he said like that, probably he was under the drugs or something, but it's the main idea for the imperialistic Russia to go to Paris, to go to Berlin and London. They want to expand their empire, but still struggling in the Bakhmut city. Probably that city is very close to the Paris, right? Well, also he said that it's highly likely that the Ukrainian counteroffensive will be successful. And speaking about the future counteroffensive, we have the published data today saying that Ukraine recently destroyed lots of their Russian anti-radar systems. Or you may call them electronic warfare or radar systems that are used to provide the interference for our navigation or other systems. The similar stuff happened earlier last year before the major advancement of Ukrainian forces in the Kharkiv region and also before advancement in Kherson. The first thing Ukraine needs to do before the major advancement is to make Russia blind, and radar systems are the eyes of the Russian army. Well, also they have the satellites, but they are not as effective as United States satellites. Plus, we got the information from our Air Force Command that Ukraine will obtain all of the required Patriot systems after the Easter, and the Easter for the Orthodox Christians is tomorrow. So we do expect that next week we're gonna receive everything we need to close the skies for the Russian army at the point where Ukraine will start the counterattack. With a range of 150 kilometers, this is possible with Patriot. I guess we need around 2 weeks to deploy those systems. That is why I expect the counterattack to start at the very end of April or at the beginning of May. But again, our military command knows better than me. Well, I think we should expect the counteroffensive just a little bit later than I expected before. I thought it could be at the middle of April, but now the weather is not good. And still Ukraine haven't obtained all of their required weaponry. For example, this train was spotted in Italy, and those are M109L self-propelled artillery systems. As it was reported, Italy agreed to send around 100 units, which is a lot, and recently the European Union finally agreed to supply the artillery shells to Ukrainian army. All of the problems were solved, as I told you, and France agreed for the deal, so we're gonna receive 155mm shells exactly for those units, plus for many other artillery systems that we have in our army. And now I have to deviate from the Ukrainian news because something terrible is happening in the capital of Sudan, Khartoum, and it also touches Ukrainians. This is not a good quality image to show you, but probably I can zoom in. I will try to make it. So this is the airplane, the Boeing 737 of Skyup Airlines, the Ukrainian airlines that was flying for the VAT lease in Sudan. Actually, you may see two of the airplanes of that particular airline, and one Boeing 737 caught fire. And there are lots of the crew members and the airline representatives in Khartoum, so from what I know, they're more or less safe. Officials are working to evacuate them from Sudan. They were performing the standard passenger flights from Sudan to Saudi Arabia or from Sudan to Egypt and back. So you can see that international airport, it's on fire because there are main clashes between the army and the special forces. From what I understood, army got control over the country a few years ago, but there were some people who were in opposition to the army leaders, and now there are some clashes. So our guys, flight attendants, pilots had to evacuate from Ukraine before and taken their planes also, and now they have to evacuate again, but from the other country. As you can see, the life of the pilot could be tricky, and I think Ukrainians are flying there because some of the other airlines refuse to perform those contracts because in that country it could be risky. But there is also some big jet on fire. I don't know what airline is that, maybe the local one, and all of the emergency exit rafts are floated, and probably it was the emergency evacuation of the passengers from that plane. So fighting continues right in the city between soldiers and special forces. Also, special forces were able to capture Egyptian soldiers who were at the drills of the time with the regular Sudanese army. And here you can see how military MiG just fires a rocket somewhere, probably to the airport, because the airport was taken by the special forces. That is why probably the airplanes were damaged because of the rocket debris or something. Sudan has MiG-29s, the same as Ukrainian army. And we have the report from the ABC News about the single Black Hawk helicopter that Ukrainian special forces have. For now, the United States Army refused to supply those helicopters to Ukraine. That is why we collected, well, volunteers collected the funds and bought this helicopter from somewhere, and it's so unique that it's used only by the special forces of Ukraine. And as for the pilots, they say that this helicopter flies much better compared to the Mi Mi-8. Well, Mi-8 is very heavy and it's not ideal for landing. Well, this one takes more weight. British Defense Intelligence says that there are the signs that Russia is getting ready for the long-term conflict with Ukraine. Recently, they introduced the electronic data for the Russian men, and if Russians do not commence to the military, then military will call them. They will be out of the constitutional rights. So basically, for Russians, there are two choices: to go to the army and die in the war, or to be switched off from all of the social life, because Russia restricts their bank accounts, their deals with property, their deals with the vehicles, and Russians are not allowed in that case to leave Russia. Plus we speak about marriages, divorces, and also medical care. And some say like they'll find their end in Ukraine, but it will be very hard for Ukrainian army in that case. If you look at the Russian history of wars, all of their victories were with lots of the casualties. And it's their most powerful tool, and the population of Russia is much greater compared to Ukraine, unfortunately. And yes, they're losing the population as well, but not as fast to finish this war quickly. So unfortunately, even with the Ukrainian successful counterattack, I also expect that this war may continue for many years. Because of the threats, Russia cancelled the parade on the 1st of May. This was the traditional parade for the communists. But they will not cancel the parade in Moscow on 9th of May, because it's the only tool for Putin to keep their country united. Right before we were speaking about the Leopard 2 tanks, but you know, we also have the option for the Leopard 1, and it was agreed that Ukraine will get more than 100 units of those. It is not a very advanced tank compared to the Leopard 2, and honestly, Russian tanks may target Leopard 1 quite easily. But nevertheless, it is the tank and will have Leopard 1 A5 modification with thermal cameras and good aiming equipment. Those tanks are lighter compared to the Leopard 2 and could be used as the second wave of the attacking force. And first 80 tanks will be delivered to Ukraine very soon. We don't know the exact date, but media says very soon. And Russia is also getting ready for the future counterattack. They build their own Dragon T's, trenches, and the mine area. So it will be hard for Ukrainian forces to penetrate those defense lines, but then we'll do it. It will be the open way to get back our land. I hope that our military will not do the same failure as Russia did near to Soledar, attacking through the open fields, minefields, under the artillery fire. The main thing that we have to make it successful are the HIMARS rocket artillery systems. They may target the Russian artillery points and supply lines which are far behind the front lines. Russia simply doesn't have that tool, and now we have the long-range missiles up to 150 kilometers range. More news coming from Sudan. So this video shows that special forces were able to capture the airfield, the military one, somewhere in Sudan. I guess it's near to Khartoum. You may see the MiG-29 with extra fuel tanks. However, I'm sure that those guys do not know how to fly MiGs, so the MiG that you saw in the video flying was for sure piloted by the military pilot. And those are the army tanks on the streets of Khartoum. I think still belongs to military. Those are T-55, very old tanks. There was the time that Soviet Union sent lots of the weaponry to African countries, including the old tanks. And here is one more video showing the T-55 tanks. It's not the extra smoke, it's just the normal operation of the tank engines. And this is the photo of the captured Egyptian soldiers in Khartoum. I hope that they will be released. And one more airfield was captured by the special forces of Sudan. As you can see, those are Mi-24 helicopters without any blades, so probably completely scrapped. Alright, now we have the confirmation that the Russian regular army started to take the Russian prisoners for the military service. Last year, Shoigu created the private military unit, which may replace the Wagner group. You see, Wagner's boss Prigozhin has some personal connections with Putin, but the rest of the Russian elite just hates him. And a few months ago, Prigozhin was blocked from the ability to take the Russian prisoners. Russian prisoners is a very important resource because Russian society is okay for them to serve in the army. If they send civilians to the war, which is also their plan, there will be complaints from the Russian society, but they may send much less civilians and send more prisoners. That is current idea of Putin, and to get to the Russian prison is kind of easy for the Russian citizens. You may say something wrong or even press the like to some sort of the controversial post about the Russian army, and you may have like 20 years in prison. So it's really hard for me to believe in the Russian evolution. It was more or less democratic country, then it got the independence after the Soviet Union collapse, but now it went to the worst part of the Soviet Union. I mean, it's like a second North Korea nowadays. There are almost no differences. And this video was filmed by our soldiers. Yes, our guys do use TikTok mostly. And here are the Russian armored vehicles. I think it is the BTR-1 or BTR-2 maybe. And it has different names. Brodaga, the bomber, the suicide bomber or kamikaze, something like that. And this is the other armored vehicle. And our guys were able to capture those vehicles without destroying them because of the terrible weather. And Russians went into that part, which is on the lower ground, basically in the swamp. So recently they told that they put the leopard tank into the swamp, but I think they just mismatched the leopard tank with their own BTRs. And more about the Russian army vehicles and tanks. Several explosions were reported at the Russian tank base in Kazan, but Russian officials say that it was just a wildfire of the grass. Well, it seems like it was the explosive grass. And just for laugh, the German resource Welt reports that some of the German politicians or the officials from Bundeswehr were triggered by the Russian spies on Tinder. Tinder is the platform where you can meet your partner, let's say, for activities, and Russian spy women actively used this platform to meet with German officials and find out some of the secrets about the Ukrainian war. And this is the official information, and there was the special meeting in Bundeswehr and with politicians also about the seriousness of this issue. And this happened not just in Germany, other countries got the similar issue. My friends, now press the like to this video, and if you want to support my channel, please go to my personal link for the Atlas VPN in the video description just below, where you can get the awesome discount for the Atlas VPN Premium. Hurry up, the deal is time limited. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.